Welcome to Breathing is Action, a meditative affirmation podcast aimed at reaching teens and adults, everyone, everywhere. I am your host, Macy. Hey guys, welcome back to my Navigating Technology series. Last time was part 1, Navigating Technology in a Safe Way, and we tackled really the difficult subject matter of predators online and how to stay safe, and that could be, advice used in the real world as well. These are sort of like the universal truths, right, about safety. But I was listening back at it and it's very serious. It's very, and I think maybe for that subject matter, that was fine. But today I'd like to have a lot more fun with things and just to bring some lightness into the atmosphere. So today is part 2, navigating technology in a healthy way. Let's have good habits, healthy habits, a balanced relationship with technology or social media, any of the online worlds or devices, any technology that's coming in the future. So I thought to myself, what kind of behavior would I model for my kid? What kind of advice would I give to my kid? I imagine them a little older and I'd sit down and I'd be like, look, mommy and daddy, we've got to have a serious talk with you. Really make sure to make it like a looming conversation of doom, really scare the pants off of them. But no, I'm just kidding. But you sit down and you figure out, look, what do we consider a healthy amount of time on your devices? What routine makes sense for you? Because we really do have to assess, it's different for everybody out there, right? Some people have jobs that require them to be on a computer screen for a minimum of 8 hours a day. There are some people that need to do research for their jobs or for school. It just doesn't make sense to put everyone in the same box of what works for you. And so we would sit down and sort of customize what healthy device use looks for my child versus me versus their father. And either way, technology is not good or bad. It's how you use it that's important. There are some basics in terms of research. They say it's not good to have devices before bed. And even that, we have to be careful to not take it too literal, because for me as an overthinker, I can get into a thinking loop pretty easily. And so if I am watching TV, even if that's considered screen time, that puts me to sleep because I'm not in my head, I'm not in my thoughts. And this distraction actually helps me to fall asleep. So just, let's move forward cautiously and really customize things to, the individual that we are. And it sort of makes sense that TV, it wouldn't be so bad for that. A smartphone, it has all these bells and whistles. So that's definitely going to keep you up a lot more than a boring documentary would, for example. But we can sit down and really ask ourselves, is it wise to have screens before bed? Is my online use affecting my sleep? Is, my online use affecting my ability to be happy? Am I more sad? Am I more depressed? Am I more hopeless about life? Is it taking away from my time that I can invest in myself? Is it taking away times from my goals? These are questions to ask ourselves. Am I knee deep in outrage and I'm triggered every 2 minutes because I'm obsessed with looking at the news, for example? We really need to sit down and ask ourselves how it is affecting our well-being. If you are prone to low self-esteem and you're comparing yourself on social media, this is something to take note of. If you are out there comparing yourself to celebrities or social media influencers with perfect bodies and perfect lives. And, you just want to belong, or you also feel this need to, get attention and feel special. Like, we really need to sit down and figure out our why. Why are we using these devices? Why am I on social media? Why am I attracted to this app or that app? What is it giving me? What am I getting out of it? Is it good stuff I'm getting out of it? Or is there some bad stuff that I need to realistically face about myself? And it doesn't mean we get rid of those apps or devices or social media platforms, but maybe we do get creative and find some healthy boundaries that we can put around that so that they bring us more good than bad, right? The least amount of harm possible. I know that Buddhism is giving me 2 thumbs up with that. The least amount of harm possible. A concept in Buddhism is that we live our lives doing the least amount of harm possible, but they had no idea that I would take that concept in 2025 and put it towards online use. They had no idea that that was going to happen. They could not foresee that future. So anyway, I have some really bad news for all of y'all. So I need you to take a seat and hold on to your bootstraps, all right? Is that the saying? Is that how the saying goes? In French, it's attache ta tuque. The bad news is that video games, social media, smartphones, they are made to be addictive. Oh my God, we didn't see that coming. Oh no. Yep, it's true. All those things you love, they were created to keep you coming back for more. And they are so successful at it. Why is that? Because there's so much research that goes on behind the scenes to make these as addictive as possible. So you don't have to hand a beer or cigarettes to your 8-year-old. All you have to do is give him a smartphone. But sure, you don't get hangovers. You don't get an increased rate of cancer or anything like that. Instead, you get long-term stuff like anxiety, depression, or suicidal ideation. That is proven that developing minds in adolescence, when they use social media, suicidal ideation goes up. And why do they want to make these devices addictive? It is to drive engagement, to keep you coming back for more so that you are exposed to advertisement. And this is really how they make their money. They make billions and billions off advertisement. And again, I worked in the online ad industry, and you would be shocked at the amount of money that goes into advertisement. It is insane. And when I switched careers and I started studying psychology at university, we had a history of psychology, and one of those classes dived a little bit into the psychology used in advertisement. And there was this quote that really stuck with me. I have to paraphrase it because I don't remember who said it. But let me tell you, this is about the psychology behind advertisement. The quote is, if you pull the right heartstrings and you are subtle enough that the person making the purchase believes it is of their own free will, then you have done your job correctly. Let me repeat that. If you have pulled the right heartstrings and you were subtle enough that the person making the purchase believes it is of their own free will, then you have done your job correctly. Let that sink in a little bit. Because I remember when I heard that the first time, I was like, ooh, is that really ethical? Because it's giving manipulator toxic vibes, It just goes to show that advertisement and it being so much a part of technology these days, it's a whole system made for financial gain, and it does not have our well-being at heart. It's not asking us, do I really need to make this purchase? Do I really need to be online this much? It's not giving us the time to even think about that. It's just driving more and more engagement. And they are comfortable working from a place below people's awareness. And that is bad guy supervillain stuff. I don't like it. Oh, and another thing that's coming up, because now they have longitudinal studies that show a link between screen use while your brain is developing in adolescence and early onset dementia. So we already know that alcoholism or excessive consumption of marijuana, that destroys brain cells. It leads to dementia, Alzheimer's, all that stuff. And we're seeing the same thing with addictive and overuse of technologies and screen time and devices and social media. And these researches are focused mostly on developing brains. So you'd think that would be 0 to 18, right? Because you're an adult at 18. Wrong! Your brain keeps developing all the way till 25 years old-ish. But whoa, I do not want to spook you guys out. The brain is capable of so much. It can heal itself very well. Even if there's brain damage, for example, somewhere, it will shift and change and create pathways at a different part of the brain. So the plasticity, the ability to heal and create different pathways, these are all things that our brains are capable of doing. And I think that that's wonderful. It gives a lot of hope that you're not stuck in one way of doing things for the rest of your life, right? Just because you're creating these strong pathways while your brain is developing does not mean that you're incapable of creating new pathways. You can, but as any addict knows, it is extremely difficult to change those pathways unless you take very large, deliberate action towards, making better decisions moving forward. And then you're always like a little prone or vulnerable because those pathways were so strong, right? So to sum it all up, these tech companies and the people at the top, they are aware that their products are addictive. They have engineered them to be. A ton of research goes into them to make them as user-friendly as possible in the way that suits them. But anything like parental controls or ad preferences or any kind of those things, that's hard to find, that's hard to get to. It's a headache and a half for any parent, and they know that is by design. And remember, they are comfortable working below the awareness of the population. Legislators are not super invested in making laws to hold these companies accountable. It is not part of their financial strategy. Let's just put it that way. Doesn't this all feel sort of doom and gloom? But don't lose hope just yet. Luke, this is not your only hope. This is when hyper-independence makes its grand entrance. If you can't rely on those in authority to take care of those they're responsible for, or supposed to be responsible for, then you gotta take care of yourself. We educate ourselves about addiction and how it shows up in our technology use. We grow our capacity for awareness. We become aware of what we're doing and why we're doing it. We put the locus of control back into our hands, and we get creative, putting boundaries and developing tips and tricks on how to counteract addictive tendencies. And if the addiction is too severe enough, we do like in AA, we sober up and we walk away from that particular triggering addiction. So here is a little crash course on addiction and how it shows up in the brain. I'm going to simplify it super easy. You got a neurotransmitter. It is dopamine. It gives you a little yes feeling, a little reward feeling in the brain. And we are engineered biologically to want more good stuff. And so we chase after this little high, this little dopamine, this little reward that happens in the brain. It really does not need to be more complicated than that. Let's just stick with that. If you look at a picture of your family, dopamine. If you're having fun with your friends, dopamine. If you eat something you enjoy, dopamine. Huzzah! This is why you can be addicted to just about anything. It could be shopping, it could be food, it doesn't have to be hardcore drugs, it doesn't have to be meth. You can get addicted to just about anything. You can get addicted to lying if it gives you a little reward every time. And everybody's different. I don't know what floats your boat, right? Like, I don't know. I'm not judging you. But I saw myself reaching for my phone, and what is my background on my phone? It's my family. It's people I love. So of course I'm going to get warm, fuzzy feelings. I get a little reward every time I reach for my phone. Well, isn't that a little sneaky? So my advice is really just to sterilize your phone. Make it as boring as possible. Make it the least amount of you as possible. Think shitty, boring work phone. This is why they have all those gross images on cigarette packages. And that is because they don't want you to get a reward when you reach for your pack. And, there was a study shown that people identified with the branding. And so even just the branding gave them a little reward when they reached for the cigarette packs. So they ended up putting like really gross images to deter you away from the reality that you will absolutely end up with cancer if you get some, if you smoke. And so I'm not suggesting you put like gore and horrible stuff on your phone. I'm not saying that. But like, for example, I put like a little text image and it says, please get off your phone. There's a little hand praying emoji. And it's just to politely remind myself, like, your actual values are to not waste hours and hours and hours on this phone. Please move away, back away from the phone, please. Another thing that makes something addictive is when it's conveniently in the house. That's why I don't have chips in the house, because I will gobble those babies up right away. And so if it is not easy to get to, if it's an inconvenience, then it is, less likely for you to engage in those addictive behaviors. So if there are certain apps that you absolutely need on your phone, but you do get lost in them, so hide them away in a folder somewhere where you have to have multiple swipes to get there. Make it annoying. It's supposed to not be convenient. It's supposed to be annoying. The more annoying, the better. If you are screaming in frustration, this is what you're aiming for. And while you're at it, just, put your phone in a different room. Put it somewhere where maybe you could hear it if you get a phone call, but don't make it convenient. Don't put it right there for you to just reach out and grab it. Put it in a different room. Put it in a closet somewhere. Make it hard for you to go get it. Give yourself a time of pause before you engage with an app or get to your phone. Give yourself the time to make a choice. Do you actually want to engage, or are there other things you need to be doing that you want to be doing? We really do have to sit down and ask ourselves, why am I using my phone? Why do I want to have all of these apps on it? Is it to my benefit to have so many distractions around me? What is your why? If I ask myself that, what I want my phone for really is to be able to contact people I love. So chats, text messages, and phone calls. I also need it for taking photos and, when I'm outside of the house. So maybe map, an app for taxis and stuff like that. That's really what's important to me. And you can keep it at just that. That would be cognitive hygiene. Cognitive hygiene is cleaning up what doesn't need to be there. The sort of embracing of that minimalism is just having what you need and to keep it clean as often as possible. If you don't want your cognition, your thinking, to be full and cluttery, then we get to clean up some of that stuff. So we take things away that are distracting. We take away things that are negative and triggering and that bring us to a bad place. Again, if we're comparing ourselves to social media influencers with impossible beauty standards, which are illusions anyway, because it's all filters, makeup, or plastic surgery. But anyway, I digress. Whatever gets you to not be in the state of mind that you don't want to be in, you get to have that choice, and you just got to clean up the things that impede that cognitive hygiene. Keep the things on your feed low. Keep your following list low. Make sure that you're not just getting garbage presented to you all throughout your feed just to keep you entertained or numb and distracted. You can utilize the timers that they have on social media apps. A lot of them have this. And if you dedicate, all right, at the end of the day, I want to be able to use my phone for a full hour. I think that's absolutely fine. And you just, so you got, well, I'm going to put a timer for 20 minutes, no more there, 20 minutes over here, and maybe 20 minutes somewhere else, But this is the thing. I don't know what's best for you. You need to figure that out for yourself. You absolutely know yourself best, and you are in charge of your own behavior. You are responsible. You are accountable for your own choices. So if you discover over time that there are certain apps that are really just basically toxic for you, then delete them, get rid of them. Give yourself back the locus of control. One of the things, this was another idea I had, and it was different devices for different things. I think that there's something very addictive to have everything all in one place. Again, that is so convenient. And I am, moving forward with a healthy level of skepticism towards convenience. So different devices for different reasons. You're going to have the laptop when it comes to doing research for work or school or the news. Maybe you have a TV for watching entertainment. You're going to have a phone for making calls or for when you're outside of the house. You're going to have a watch to be able to tell time. If you don't want your phone on you, but you're like, well, I need to tell time, have a watch on you. Buy yourself a nice camera to take photos from, just to resist having everything at your fingertips. And this was inspired because one of the reasons, I'm not addicted to social media anymore. Once upon a time, that was my reality, but it is not addictive to me anymore. What I am addicted to now is information, being able to have any kind of knowledge at the tip of my fingers. And I feel like I was watching myself reach for my phone anytime I thought, well, like, what about that? When that happened in history, like, what was that about? And then I'd reach for my phone and get the knowledge. And it became addictive to get these little like rewards of, oh, I know that now. I feel smarter. And so being able to research at any point in time was detrimental to me. And so, maybe I reserve that for when I'm on my laptop. I have to start my laptop over again. It takes time. It's not convenient. But then I have a dedicated time to do research. I can jot down any questions I have. And, at the back of my mind, it was like, can you get comfortable not knowing? Can you get comfortable not having those answers right away? And you have it at a later time, that delayed of gratification. That's what inspired this sort of like, maybe it's too convenient. Technology, maybe that's too convenient where it's going. Just because you can make it convenient, should we? Just like in Jurassic Park where Dr. Malcolm's like, your scientists were so preoccupied with whether they could, they didn't stop to think if they should. But yeah, I know like maybe this idea of having all these different devices, that's not appealing to everyone. Some people can't afford that. And so this is definitely it's not a one size fits all sort of resolution, but it's following the concept of not having all your eggs in one basket. And, if this is advice that works for you, then great. If this is not something that fits for you, then you leave it. Take what fits and leave what doesn't. But I really don't think it's that wise to be so dependent on something outside of ourselves, to be attached to something and expect it to have all these answers and for it to be so convenient. And, it's kind of like we want to be saved by something, right? But this non-attachment to stand on our own, that again, it takes a strong person to be able to stand on their own and go against the grain. And the concept of non-attachment is just being able to create a distance between you and something else in order to preserve a regulated state and to assess. It helps us be able to reflect. That gives us choice. That gives us freedom of choice. And the concept of non-attachment in Buddhism, right? It relates to meditation. So you sit there, and one of the first revelations that you have typically in meditation is that you are not your thoughts. You are the observer of your thoughts. You are not even your emotions, technically, because emotions are the information that you can use to understand yourself better. But you are not your emotions, and you are not your thoughts. You are the observer of them. You are not even your actions, technically. The universe knows that there are so many things that I've done in my life that I look back on, and I roll my eyes so deeply at the back of my head that it just, yeah. But you learn your lessons, you make some changes, and you move forward. But so the concept of non-attachment, we can apply this to our online use. If we are able to create a little bit of distance in between us and social media, if you are witnessing yourself consume news media, if you take a step back, put some distance in between you and what you're seeing, like you're looking down cards on a table, then you are more capable of picking up on patterns of manipulation. You are more capable of seeing patterns of addiction in your behavior. You can pick up on some of the heartstrings that are being pulled in order to make you outraged about this, or upset over here, or, we're going to boycott this over here, but put your money over here. All of these things that are below awareness, they come into view. We practice not absorbing. We are just observing. You do not absorb. You're just observing. Before you decide to make a decision, before you decide to take an action, before you decide to write that comment, before you do this and that, take a moment to breathe, give yourself the gift of a pause, and then you could move forward with deliberate choice. That is a different way of having freedom for yourself. And this form of non-attachment really helps to keep our nervous system regulated, which again, it is not meant to be constantly activated the way it is. Our nervous system is not moving fast like society is, and definitely not, culture in the real world, but culture online is even faster. Our biology, our nervous system is still functioning at ancestral levels. Our ancestors were in very much smaller tribes, much smaller communities. We are not made to know what's going on around the world at all times. We are not meant to be comparing ourselves to hundreds and hundreds of people. And maybe it's not good for us to have constant messaging in our ear, like advertisements to lose weight, be pretty, be popular, go to this event, go here, do this, do that. And being activated this much keeps us in a hyper-vigilant mode. We are constantly swimming in cortisol, which is the stress hormone. But in a way, it's also exciting and addictive. But this keeps us in survival mode. And we want to move into thrival mode. I just invented that, but let's move from survival mode to thrival mode. We want to thrive as individuals, right? Like humans, we did the unthinkable. We got out of the food chain. Think about that. That is amazing. We got out of the freaking food chain, people. And yet we're still stuck in survival mode. When do we get to go and thrive? You gotta take it. You gotta just go for it. Take a leap of faith and focus on your well-being. Focus on slowing down. Focus on non-attachment to your experience around you, and to really give yourself the gift of the pause so that you can make decisions that are right for you. Get out of automatic mode and practice awareness. Take back the power of control on an individual level. A healed nervous system and a healthy, loving relationship with the self is not profitable. There is so much research that goes into technology. They are very aware of how addictive it is. They are very aware of how to make things user-friendly. And this is why I know that our well-being is not at heart. The advancement of humanity is not a real interest. The protection of children, keeping them safe from predators, is not at the forefront of their minds when they make these things. Because it would be super user-friendly for parental controls, for ad preferences, for controlling your feed and filtering it through. It's a headache and a half. And this is why I know, because so much research goes into making things user-friendly, securing that engagement, getting people to come back over and over again. And it's clear what's not important to them, what is not profitable. It is a system for profit. It is a system for financial gain. And it would be unwise for us to naively just trust that. It's like a wolf in sheep's clothing. Whoa, careful, Mace. I'm getting dark again. Let me shift gears here for a second. Not all of technology is bad. Like I said at the beginning, there's a whole bunch of good things about it. And so we just need to find what those good things are and put healthy boundaries around the things that take away from the quality of our lives, the things that make us waste hours and hours and hours. We put healthy boundaries around those things. Yeah, I really gotta watch myself. Sometimes I get real dark real fast. This has turned out to be another information-heavy episode. I apologize, you guys. I'm not trying to talk your ears off. I don't love the sound of my own voice. In fact, a lot of the times it makes my ears bleed. But honestly, I am so grateful that you were here today, that we spent some time together talking about this. I think that this is super important stuff, and if your presence is here today digesting some of this, I hope that it really helps you with your relationship with technology and to, really prioritize your well-being and put yourself first when it comes to that, and to really figure out what's true for you. And again, I hope that you get a lot of benefits from this information today. We're just going to do a quick meditation on healthy, balanced behavior and good self-esteem and all those things to help you build a strong, healthy relationship with online life, or also, life offline as well. So, I will ask you today to get in a comfortable seated position. Three breaths, quick 4-second inhales, and long, controlled 8-second exhales. When you are ready, empty out your lungs. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. And out slowly, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Inhale again, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. One last one in, 1, 2, 3, 4. And release. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Good job. And now for the affirmations that we can repeat to ourselves, I highly suggest you take your hand and put it in a position that feels strong and meaningful to you. So maybe you have it, palm facing forward as if you're swearing an oath. Maybe you have your hand on your heart. Maybe you have a finger in your nose. I don't know. Whatever makes you feel strong, whatever has meaning to you, you can go right ahead and do that. This is to help make the affirmations feel more powerful for you. I am free to use my time in a way that makes me happy. I am free to use my time in a way that makes me happy. I don't need to be plugged in at all times. I don't need to be plugged in at all times. I release what distracts me. I release what distracts me. I make space for what brings me joy. I make space for what brings me joy. I don't need to compare myself to others. I don't need to compare myself to others. I invest in me and in my day-to-day life. I invest in me and in my day-to-day life. My well-being is important. My well-being is important. I don't absorb, I just observe. I don't absorb, I just observe. I am in control of myself, my actions, and my life. I am in control of myself, my actions, and my life. You guys are wonderful. I hope that everyone out there is taking good care of themselves. I hope that you are taking care of those that you love. And I hope that today has served you well. I am hoping so much to be of service to you in this area. I am a mother. I am a caretaker. This is how I identify. And this is very important to me, to be sharing things to keep you safe, to keep you healthy, and to keep you and your well-being at the forefront of your mind. If we're just working hard and we're not having fun, we're not enjoying ourselves, then what's this all about? Am I right? Let's be the change we want to see in the world. Breathing is Action is a meditative affirmation podcast. I talk about things I enjoy, and I do meditations at the end of them. You can find Bia, Breathing is Action, Bia for short. You can find Bia online, Facebook, Instagram. I post things to YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Amazon Music, all of the places you can get podcasts. I want to thank my family and my friends. Some of the things we talk about in conversation end up right here. I love each and every one of you. I want to thank my husband who helps me with post-production editing and helps keep this stuff going. And I am sending out a million and millions of hugs to all of you.